Okay, now we're picking up. We're going to go back to the October missives. This is all important. It's important to me, and hopefully to the story. So now, these are the October missives. When I was trying to see which side of the fence he's on. Now, this is 11 months after my head exploded. So I called this the missives of October. Missives, get it? Ha. See, how can you not find a story here and not embellish it, but just play it out? Because I'm thinking God's doing this. He's putting these little breadcrumbs and I'm eating them up and I'm running with them. Jim, this is 11 months after my head exploded. So the prior stuff was setting up before my head exploded. Now my head's exploded. And now I'm kind of like, oh, the police are doing nothing. So let's get back and, concentrate on Jim Flood. 1 second. Because I got to see what's going on. Okay, after that August letter to Jim, nothing came of it. Now we have to, stir the pot and see what's going on. We got to poke Jim a little bit and wake him up. So here we are, almost a year to the day since I first contacted you about investigating allegations against my father regarding child abuse and the environment I was in at the time of my driving infractions. This isn't a letter meant to intimidate or coerce, but to initiate resolution. Again, I knew my family was going to attack me, but it turned out they basically stool pigeoned the Frobergs into doing their dirty work. And then it's like, there's no wonder abuse goes undetected, because this is what happens when people that try and stick up for what they think is right. Thank you for verifying what it was like to have people demanding that you were crazy when in fact you weren't. The only difference between what happened last Thanksgiving in March 2002, when I wrote that original letter to my father, we'll get to that, Miles, was that I didn't have a stroke resultant of a massive drug interaction. That was the official diagnosis. Got verified in Evanston by a neurologist. Also, and that's when I just found out in October. Because I was going out with that girl in Chicago, but you guys don't know about her yet. But I do. Ooh, something came up on that. Sorry. Also, I didn't have law enforcement and medical facilities convinced otherwise beforehand that I was crazy, which seriously jeopardized my health, thus impeding a proper medical treatment. Call me crazy, but that's about as simple a summary as it gets, in my opinion. I'll be blunt. You, Bob, the Pentwater Police Chief, Hackley Hospital, and of course the Stasko and Froberg families are all facing some fairly serious problems, and there needs to be a peaceful resolve soon. This isn't about money, it never has been. It's about personal accountability, and that is what I would declare as my primary objective in this final effort. Meaning, guys, leave me alone. I want my job back, I want my life back, and I'll call it quits, but I'll keep pushing to get you guys convicted, because, people are saying if it's true, attempted murder, I could have, God gave me a little, whatever the infarct did, he put a patch on that like a flat tire. Anyway, if you haven't figured it out by now, the mental, physical, emotional damage created by child abuse is intolerable enough for someone to endure. However, after someone confronts the person who caused the anguish, Miles, and then to be scorned in return as having gone crazy, quote unquote, is unpardonable. The resultant devastation, as the accused does everything to discredit their victim, me, creates a trail self-destruction that I'm very familiar with now. I forgot of. Creates a trail of self-destruction. Maybe Jim got confused because I forgot some that I'm familiar with by now. The Staskos have infected not one, but 2 marriages, old friends, new friends, and colleagues. They had no reservation calling up friends and Ethel Doyle and Hans and Peter Kolf. Jane did, and I knew, and, trying to put out the fire before it starts. And they had no qualms about calling people, and they called my bluff. I go, you know what, if you want to convince I'm crazy, convince people I'm crazy. Here's so-and-so to call, here's so-and-so to call. So they call them. Don't play chess with Satan. And yes, I blame them as the source of my current situation. Because they're always saying, he blames his problems on everyone else. Yeah, when someone fries my brain, I kind of blame them and not myself. This affirmation bodes well with one of their fundamental accusations, but look at the source and agenda Mr. Froberg followed. But I just told you. That being said, the attached letter has been issued to the Oceana County District Attorney, letting him know this is getting bigger than all of us wanted it to, but this is where it's going. I have no idea the status, because I sent him a police report where it's going. But we'll continue pursuing charges against Mr. Froberg, if that is an option. I would rather not. Any malice against Mr. Froberg and what he did to me was derived from his conversations with Stayskull family members. This is when I found out that Stayskull's talked to the Frobergs at least 3 occasions. How do I know? Because Mickey said, your family knows you're crazy because they talked to my folks 3 times. So if they're willing to admit it, I'm willing to write about it. After knowing the Frobergs for 5 years, they already have enough domestic issues to deal with and don't need this to continue heading in the direction it's inevitably could be. The DA letter speaks for itself. This family's so messed up. And you want to take it to the next level? Talking to the wrong guy, because you want crazy? We'll get you a dish of crazy and throw some sprinkles on. Let me be blunt. Whether I'm sitting in a criminal or civil trial as a plaintiff or a defendant, meaning I don't care how, when, where, why, what, but this is going to court. Whether I'm arrested or whether they are, being declared insane is not, I will be however that read out. But it's I'm going to take this to the hill. I will be extremely satisfied to take this entire matter into that forum and present my case and will win. God's going, okay, buddy, we'll let you know how powerful you are and how powerful I am. That's God talking. More so, I cannot lose. Yes. See, this is me. This is me thinking, I got them checkmate, right, left, up, down, this is like 3-dimensional checkmate. I will sit in a mental institution or in jail until that time if need be. Now, this is before I had a repeat. I was weeks away from my 1-year anniversary when Mick had me checked in. Oh, this is weird. This is so funny. Because a week after this is when after all this kicked around is when Mick came out of the blue and told the police chief that I was suicidal. Oh my God, is this weird in the hindsight? Oh God. Anyway, doesn't change a thing, but just my understanding of what was really going on. Oh my God. This is what happens when a person has been pushed into the corner that the Stayskulls have created for me and lost everything in the process, meaning me. Michelle is the one who needs financial support right now, not me. Because I didn't know what was going on with her and Greg. The minute I'm contacted by Oceana County indicating that an investigation has begun, communication stops. Meaning, Jim, which side of the fence are you on? Again, letter to Jim, wondering where he is. And if I hear from the DA saying, look, we're looking into your case, stop writing letters, I would have been the happiest guy to oblige. Never heard from anyone. The minute I'm forced out of this house, communication stops. And that's what's coming up, guys. It's a funny story. Not ha-ha if it's you, but ha-ha if you're hearing it. If you want to help Bob and the Frobergs, I suggest you begin looking into Miles Stayskull's personal background and quickly establish where he got his information regarding my prior mental problems. My guess is there will be a day when that is important. Meaning, look, Jim, you've wrote this I'm crazy from speculation from others. Look into it, because there's nothing there. I don't have to know how the law works in this process, but I'm sure I'll find out sooner rather than later. I'm also sure you know how to contact me if necessary. You had my number, and that's it. 1 page. Boom. All right, let's look at next week. I heard nothing, waited a week. Oh, I double-clicked, so no pause. So let's go to the next one. And I expected to hear from him. I had timed out how long it took for mail to get there, so I made sure it was going to be on a Monday, or not that I could make sure, but I planned for these things to show up on a Monday, if not Saturday. So I mailed it on a Thursday. So he either got it on Saturday or first thing Monday. If I didn't get a phone call by Friday, then the next letter was all ready to go out on Friday at the end of the day because I wanted to get these. I had the misses of October all lined up. All right. I am a not smart guy. This is the way I think. It's just the way I think. It's not always your benefit. Jim, this is a week later. In last week's letter, I was blunt. This time I'll be crass. I'll be frank next time, and then lastly a dick. Get that little joke? I'll be crass, then I'll be frank, and then I'll be a dick. I thought it was funny. See, Jim appreciated the humor. I'm sure he did. The Stayskulls have fabricated a big pile of bullshit, Stayskull style, hereinafter referred to as BS $, to create a character assassination and discredit me for my allegations against Miles. We all know that by now. The first batch was made in 1988 after Miles walked out on the family during an affair, and he started selling it as another result of my mother's accusations. I struck in another, but he turned everything around on her. He gaslighted her on other people. People bought it in hordes, $S. In short, basically, money, 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 money. In short, I went through the same goddamn scenario. And I can say that because it's not blaspheming his name. His name's not God. Okay, people? His name's not God. It's Yahweh. So I can say goddamn to make my point. Scenario in 2002 with Jane, my first wife. The public recipe for a 10-pound I gotta start over. In short, I went through this same scenario in 2002 with Jane, my first wife. The public recipe for a 10-pound pile of BS $ was written long ago. I haven't included the secret family recipe. It's much tastier. This is where I'm adding levity, saying, Jim, I'll joke with you, but, and this is right, these are the lines the family always used. So this is their recipe for nonsense. We really love him or her, because Carolyn, Brian, but she pushes us away. Add a lot of that. She always has serious problems. They're bipolar, drinking, medications. Miles did it to Carolyn, now they're doing it to me. 5 pounds. She, Carolyn, Brian, really believes what he says, which isn't true. That means I'm delusional. Oh, okay, I know that. These were the reasons they gave for being bipolar, then why I was delusional, then it was a couple pounds. And this was proportional. She, Brian, Carolyn, thinks people are out to get them. Paranoid. They had a little bit of that. She fakes pain and gets meds and attention. They get quartz and photos. Then they have brain damage from alcohol and drug abuse. And that's the long-term alcoholic or drug addiction. And father said that about Carolyn, that she's an alcoholic. Then he said it about me, and then added the pain meds, and then bipolar schizophrenia. Say I'm a perpetual liar, and they say that is needed. So that's the recipe they have. And I wrote this out to Jim because I think I'm funny, but I'm trying to make a point. As nothing seems to add up. These messages get passed on to friends, co-workers, anyone necessary to discredit my allegations and totally contradict what people already know about me. You know, the dark side that only family members that love me know. Basically, there's a lot of BS $ family money in the digestive systems of many people in my life, which will never get dispelled from their bowels. Some people have blocked colons as a result. Due to what happened last Thanksgiving, there appears to have been some new ingredients to the latest batch of BS $, meaning people are getting provided fringe benefits. Money. I'd love to know what Ray got out of this. Because the line that I speculate went on there was, when I met, this is my father to Ray, when I met you, I just wanted to tell you about Brian, but I thought he had turned his life around. You guys seemed happy, but I should have warned you about him. And Ray would be playing it up, saying, oh my God, the guy, now I have to eat processed food now. Miles would go, processed food? The monster! Let me help you out. I'll write you a check. Can I help you out? Because I feel bad how my son turned out. There's no doubt in my mind that transaction happened. And the clarity of thought I have on that is kind of God saying, and I said, well, God. And I said, God damn it. It's like, well, how can you say that? Because I'm not saying Yahweh stuff. Anyway, I spun around on that. I'm sorry. Anyway, God, everyone knows, it makes it easier to say. His name is Yahweh, YHW. So let's just move on. So the family added more stuff. And I know I'm bouncing around, but I'm getting all hopped up. He's bipolar because he was calm a while ago. Yeah, I know. Kick me in the shins and I read. Kick me in my soul, I read. Michelle got fired for writing scripts for pain meds for me, not her. That was what Mick told him. She was stealing and taking things from the hospital for me, not because she had a problem. In other words, she was trying to help me. They used that excuse. Mickey used that excuse for everyone in Pentwater that needed to know. Here's another excuse they used. I took too many meds and forgot where I put them, and I blame Mickey. Brian blames all his problems on other people, and Brian's living in the past. We'll get to that one. It's just all cliche. Call that a new recipe of BS Froberg Stayskull. Oh, that's what the dollar sign. BS Stayskull, and Stayskull was money. That's what that. The guy who did this is just brilliant. But he's evil brilliant. Can you make this up? Would you not, what you little you know about me at this point, would you not think, not that I'm cashing in on it, but just kind of put it on a nice package for yourself? All right, back to the letter. As you know by now, as you, Jim Flood, know by now, Froberg has bought huge stock in BS Stayskull and sold portions to the Pentwater police chief last Thanksgiving. Because when they fried my brain, they called up Chief Mike and said, my son-in-law is having a problem, but we've got it under control. So that was their introduction to Police Chief Mike, saying, this guy's crazy, but we're okay. And Police Chief Mike goes, I know him. What are you talking about? Don't worry about it now, we'll get back with you. But they went over to Chenzo's and met that morning. I had that confirmed by both Police Chief Mike and Mickey. Anyway, so they were, already selling that I went crazy to the police chief as soon as it happened. So I was swimming upstream to spawn, and I'm a male salmon, and I can't spawn. But I don't know that. I think I'm a girl spawn. Whatever. I don't know. In turn, the chief bought a large chunk of solid. In turn, the chief bought a large chunk and sold some of his share to an assistant DA, meaning he bought all this nonsense, passed it on to the assistant DA, and then the district attorney himself, who in turn bought a smaller piece of BS Stayskull style and had passed it on to others. Now, the assistant DA guy, and that's right, you ate a shitload of that stuff too. Pound for pound, that could really cost you in the end. Meaning, Jim, it's nonsense at this point. Give it up. He didn't. I guess that word's hyphenated, but I didn't care back. Maybe Jim's just likes, I don't know. Didn't hear from me. Bothered me, as you will know next. Subsequently, with new additives to the BS et al., this novel pile of BS Froberg Stayskull is currently getting distributed around town and at government agencies and within the legal system here in Michigan, meaning I'm not shutting up. Since I continue to refuse eating any of the old BS Stayskull, and of course refrain from anything to do with the new BS Froberg Stayskull, I will maintain my fasting from this type of nonsense. After all, it really does sound silly, and I hear it isn't very good for you or professional careers in the long run, meaning pick a side, bud. The attached letter to the Bartlett School District, I play dirty, but I play fair. Well, I play fair, but however, it's not dirty. It's just getting people involved, because I want to know why they didn't do anything or contact. The attached letter to the Bartlett School District Superintendent certainly expresses the concerns I have with Bob's grandchildren. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I do have merit for my trepidations. Good luck selling everything at the upcoming BS bake sale. I'm sure there will be some new flavors added by then. So let's see what that letter was in a second. I know how to deconstruct Stayskull House of Cards and get to the secret prize hidden at the bottom. I know key figures that want to expel the BS Stayskull in their system, but would probably need some legal protection in the process. Crazy as it sounds, you will soon find out that Bob and Company will have to sell their own recipe for BS Froberg Stayskull style without the assistance of the Stayskull's BS, and everyone will be screwed. You think they will want anything to do with a police investigation against Bob, or me for that matter? They will lawyer up the second they hear authorities are getting involved. Then you will have to pay a price for their consolations. Again, I have been relatively BS-free my entire life, for the most part. Plus, I'm relatively free for the time being, as it seems. Call me! Call me! Let's get this on the open, otherwise I'm just going to carry it further. And so here's the letter I sent to the school district where Mick's nephews were. Dr. Jose Torres, October, part of the October missives. That was my anniversary with Jane. Ha! Everything has a reason. So to say, he does the dates. September 11th. There's a reason. And here, Dr. Torres, I'm bringing to your attention as a very concerned relative of children attending your school system. Students involved are the Koss children, Ryan, Michael, and Jenna. And Ethan, that was Shimoni. Their parents, Ron and Dina Shimoni, are not aware that I'm writing this letter. I am not entirely sure which school they attend in Bartlett, but they range in age from about 6 to 15. My concern is that I've been aware of the domestic issues that have occurred in this household, which includes the alleged abuse of narcotic medicine by their mother, while the grandfather, Robert Froberg, is an alcoholic in my opinion. All right, I'm probably not going to, because this is. But I say he's drinking and dropping off at school, which I think he was. Then based on this information, I raise alarm because I'm playing like I should, right? Guys concerned about, school, look into this situation. If you have any questions, call me. Here's my number. Blah, blah, blah. Signed it. Boom. Off. And then I signed one copy. And then if I got a copy of this letter and it has signature, I would go, that ain't mine, because I only one copy. And so I got to see where I am on time. Hold on. You know what? I'm just going to make this, people, they'll listen to the beginning of this and go, well, he's not funny. I'm not seeing any funny pictures. I don't want to hear about the guy reading off his letters. So this will be people that, if anyone's interested in what was going on, they may listen to it, but it's just like, oh my God, fast forward. Put it on ×2 to make me sound like a squirrel, so at least they get the gist. But I got to do it. I got to put it out there. I don't care if no one sees this. I just got to put it out there. There'll be no funny pictures because overall this is serious. But I'm just telling you what I tried to do. So I didn't hear from Jim for a week. So I guess in the next round. And the thing is, all week I'm like, oh, please, Jim, just call, because then I'd have to get this together, and then I Mr. Format and make sure I say what I want to say. I get my wordsmith tool out here, and I use this, and I crypt this, and it's like, it's like, I don't want to do this. I want to get this over with. I'm coming up on a year now, but you just wait till you hear what happened. Jim, for your benefit, I'll be Frank. Frank Burns in the classic line of his, let's do something. I forgot, this is great. I'll be Frank Burns in the classic line of his. Let's do something, anything. Guys, remember that? I gotta do that real quick. Hold on. Okay, I couldn't find it, but Frank Burns in the classic line of his, let's do something, anything. Whereupon Hawkeye unwittingly responds, I agree with Frank, let's do anything. So I'm going to do anything. I'll be honest, I really miss litigation work. When I worked out in Seattle as an engineering consultant, there was an infamous project where the bad guys had an expert who always got away with pure bullshit. Lied about things that were so outrageous, yet his BS won him fame in many cases. Bob LaFrau from WJE, if I remember right. Obviously a story, I'll get to it. Anyway, we had a case where a photo of a core sample was used. I guess I explained this. and he profusely indicated that it was from the structure in question exhibiting deterioration, and that proved how severe the problem was, blah, blah, blah. He even stated that when he was there, when the exact same core was taken, probably a little bit more detail than I knew what I was saying, but... And then the CTL's expert looked at the photo and smiled, leaned over to our attorney, scribbled down some notes, and more questions were asked and answered about the core. Our expert got up, looked at the photo, and was handed a PCA Journal of Concrete Deterioration. The photo was exactly the same as the one on page 60. There was an immediate objection by opposing counsel. The case settled in 10 minutes. Now, if that didn't make sense, was this guy, WJE, went to a trial, and the opposite side said, were you there when that core sample was taken out? And Lafrau was lying and said, yeah, I was there, and that's the sample I saw, and we tested, and that's how bad the deterioration was. So the counsel came back and goes, isn't that in your little PCA journal? Our guy said, yeah. So he went back and just got the guy just perjured himself. So he went up there and said, oh, by the way, look at page 60. And then it was like, yeah, it's the same photo. And the guy wasn't there for that, and then the case settled. I don't even know if I told it right then, but someone will get that. Meaning, Jim, this is going to settle fast if it ever gets to court. Obviously, the objective at this point isn't to identify if a crime was committed, but to determine the extent of the criminal activity. Back in March 2002, when I had my first major outbreak of Brian's Gone Crazy, the Stayskulls had their victory party, despite my efforts proving otherwise. In the '07 edition of Brian's Gone Crazy, there appears to be quite a number of old and new participants, waving victory, meaning they thought they got me, and if they had won, acting as if they had won the state institutional lotto. Unfortunately, all those holding vouchers wishing to redeem their reward should look at the winning numbers a little bit closer and pay more attention to the detail. Meaning, I think I'm smarter than they. It's not like I had another stroke of genius, stroke of brain, to turn this thing around by having a neurologist examine my medical records. I had a stroke induced by a massive drug interaction initiated by Robert Froberg. However, despite the pun, this may be the last resort for the Stayskull-Froberg Association to declare that I'm doing all this to fabricate a storyline for Comedy Central. Again, they're in the position of having to do something, anything, not me. Well, I guess I just, that was it. That they're just coming up with anything. And I thought at first it was like, I'm going to come up with, to get this thing going. But they're just coming up with all these ridiculous excuses. So I guess that's what it was. The two troubling problems I have are simple. Now I say that they're simple. It's like, I guess I'm supposed to get it now. Where does it end and when? Certainly back in '02, the manufacture and distribution of B.S. Stayskull was relatively limited. Miles, Alan, Patty, Alan's wife, most likely Jane, but she deserved whatever she got. Still a little bit. Because of the house issue, I'll tell you how that ended up. I have no issues with her anymore. Yeah, I'm over it. Can't tell, but I was. Unfortunately, Ray Fisher had to enter the picture and spread her blogs as a late-century cash cow whoremonger. You remember Ray? She's the one who landed me in Cook County Jail for domestic aggravated assault in '04. So Jim knows Ray and met her at trial. And all I'm doing is trying to sew all these little pieces together into one nice little blanket that Brian can protect himself and live the rest of his life in bliss. At this point, I'm just forget about meeting another girl. But God's has another thing in store for me. Oh, Lordy, people. I'm getting woozy just knowing what this is going to turn out. It's funny. I swear to God, the ironies are immaculate. Well, you just wait, little buddy. Spending thousands of dollars defending myself, Jim, trying to prove innocence for a crime that did not occur, not didn't. I use my apostrophe. Didn't occur, as I spent 30 hours. Come on, Brian. 30 hours in the hole. 28 hours at 26th in California in August '04. I didn't say that right, but you guys get it. All because someone hated the fact they owed me over 10 grand and monies for my car she sold and took the cash. Crimes of passion, love of money, I suppose. And here I am with overwhelming evidence, in my opinion, and I can't even get Oceana County DA to return a phone call. Frustrating. You think? Oh, this is a long... Well, we gotta do it. We gotta do it, folks. If you don't want to turn it off and just run, I'm going to do it. So I'm just telling you. I'll insert something truthful, but hopefully levity bound. Then there's what happened last Thanksgiving. Facts are facts. The truth can be debated to death. The Frobergs initiated their contact with the Staskels back in February '06. When I sent Dina that email regarding all the alleged child abuse and neglect she was inflicting on her children. I guess he sent an email. I don't know. According to Phyllis Froberg, Bob's wife, I was tearing the family apart. I gotta remember that more. I might have emailed that letter to Dina. More than a year went by without any contact with the Frobergs, although I had several lengthy phone conversations with Dina to better understand and settle the matter. So I guess I had more than one, or more than the two. Bottom line was, Bob fabricated the stories, or so she convinced me into believing otherwise. Regardless, the fact that they never talked to Michelle either doesn't explain or justify why their animosity towards me, Brian. Or does it? Meaning, they got caught in their little lies. And it did tear the... I forgot about that, but yeah, Phyllis called me up, Mick's mom. Said, you're tearing this family apart. What do you mean I'm tearing it apart? You're the one telling all these things that are or aren't true, and I don't know what to believe in, Mick. So, geez, don't tell me that I'm tearing the family apart. I just said, hey, there's an elephant in the room. Oh, you people. When I began working at Terracon in August '07, I had regained my engineering career simultaneous to the projects I've been working on here in Pentwater for the past 4 years. I had completely renovated this house and was in the process of finishing the 800 square foot addition for a home office. Oh, yeah? When the Froberg family was here visiting, I paid $500 for them to stay next door at the rented house. They were all given a tour of this property, meaning the house I was working on. Little did I know that Bob was so vile in his contempt for someone developing a solid future for his adopted daughter. My bad. My inflections were off, but you get it. So what I'm doing here, if you haven't figured it out, is whatever Frobergs or what Flood heard from others, I'm telling him the truth from my eyes. So I'm letting him know what the truth is. He can believe it or not, but he knows me. And I think if he didn't know beforehand, I'm filling in the details. So whatever you heard from others, Jim, here's what happened. That's why this is kind of long. But this will tie up. This is my second witness, even though it's me giving my second witness, because I've already kind of testified to this. Man, I forgot where. Let me just do this. I'll edit it correctly. My inflections are terrible. Little did I know that Bob was so vile in his contempt for someone developing a solid future for his adopted daughter. My bad. I would hope you question why Bob didn't inform the Staskels that it appeared my life was well in order. Do you honestly believe I hired your services under this pretense? What am I missing here? Jim, I hired you before they blew me up. And their only reason for saying that I blew up was because I had a long history of mental illness. Pick a side, bud. Bob's motives were premeditated. We all know that. The problematic, and there's sirens in the background. Woo, this is perfect. The problematic item that remains is where the demon seed germinated and where it eventually branched out. I gotta let this pass. Ooh, that was... Who did that? I wonder. On one end of the spectrum, there's the single assassins theory. Bob acted alone, because I didn't know what was going on. On the other hand, one could speculate that the seedy side of the story was originated from the Staskel BS and funded by those assets. The outstanding question that arises is identifying how high up the family treason did it go. Again, the hierarchy feeding off the foolish chain of command has quite a number of possibilities and or probabilities. Meaning, I'm letting him know maybe Bob was justified to do what he did. Maybe he was protecting Mickey based on Stayskull's saying, my son is crazy and your daughter's got to run. You're a cop, take the guy out because he's dangerous. And maybe Mick's father is a decent guy and took me out for good reason. I'm letting Jim know. I'm letting Bob off the hook. I'm letting Bob, whoever told Bob and why he did what he did, I'm letting him go. Letting him go. Jim, take heed. Thankfully, Bob had a dual career that most jurors would unmistakably exemplify as having a history clear of under-the-table graft and dishonesty, being Chicago police and a union president. And more importantly, with the allegation, meaning this guy's a cop and a union president, you trust him over it. Anyway, I shouldn't have said that. And more importantly, with the allegations of the Pentwater police chief's wife taking lucrative contracts from the ex-village manager, you remember, the one that council members and the village president had to dispel rumors of bribes and corruption? We'll get to that. That would be all too easy to fabricate a false positive accusation in a trial. Meaning, all these people were on the wrong side at the wrong time, and I kept finding out, and I kept saying, look, you play the honest way on my side, or jump on the other side and try and take me down. Well, they tried to take me down. Swing at them as a 75% Irish guy? I'll show them. Oh my gosh. False positive trial. Besides, what could possibly happen during a brief encounter at a local grocery store between Bob and the chief, referencing when they met? Whatever BS Stayskull did to transpire was enough for the chief to take it on up to an assistant DA and subsequently the DA himself. I don't believe there's any debate in the intercourse or how subjective opinions were passed along regarding my mental health or lack thereof. Though, I was the one getting totally screwed in the end. Yeah, I had the F word. I'm not saying it. Meaning, if these guys took the BS at all and ran with it and then finally is like, whoa, wait a minute, this is bad, but now they're in a bind, I'm telling them, I'll let you guys off the hook. But we gotta stop here. You know, this is the third letter. And I'm like, come on, how am I not hearing back from Jim? And I don't realize how dysfunction works yet. I don't know. Why am I not hearing back from them? If they had called me, I would have talked to them. But, so I'm thinking all these people are caught running with the nonsense. I'm letting you guys go. I am letting you, because I know my family was saying, look, he's desperate for money. He doesn't want to work. He's a drug addict. All he wants to do is take us to court, sue us, and, we have great lives. He has a crummy life, and he's blaming his problems on us, and so whether or not the DA or Police Chief Mike or anyone else believe them, I don't know. But at the point, it's just like, stop. Everybody stop. The music stop. Chairs, grab a chair. Now stop. These October letters are going to clear the air. Send it out, because I'm going to send these out eventually, too. Because I'll get my crazy out there with a spotlight on it. Oh, did I ever. Okay. In any case, as Oceana County seems to have its own reputation in fairness and equality, the proverbial BS Stayskull could stop or go anywhere. Meaning, they're getting called by Stayskulls, the DA. It would be totally outrageous to consider that the Stayskull squirreled money away for a couple years, only to have this ridiculous idea of finally getting a pro, knowledgeable of criminal sleuthing, get rid of the biggest pet peeve they have on the planet, me. Meaning, Miles most likely compensated Bob. Bob's not going to do anything except for, take care of me a little bit. So I'm speculating, but I don't put it past them. But certainly the conspiracy theorists will have their way these days. Meaning I'm speculating, but I'm just throwing it out there. Don't block this out of your mind about what happened. As it seems, George Bush is the alleged third Antichrist in some minds. Oh, it's little did I know. That's crazy talk, and if you ask me, it's crazy talk if you ask me. However, I hear Sasquatch and Bush have never been seen in the same room together. Oh, You know, it's me trying to bring it around. Lighten up a little, Francis. Anyway, it would be totally ludicrous to suggest the Stayskulls were getting disturbed, fully aware that I had a great job in Chicago and was trying to get a license reinstated. I doubt if they would have ever made... I'm doubtful if they would ever make efforts to prevent that from happening, said facetiously. But that's where you're a major player, Jim. Meaning, here's your role. Were your actions offensive or defensive in nature for them, the Frobirds, when Bob was initially contacted? I know what they were to me, meaning they were on my side. Again, I was paying you to investigate the Stayskulls. Did you know the Frobirds already had an association going with the Stayskulls? Can you prove it one way or another? Obviously they did. So I don't know where Jim is. I'm just saying I'm on this page. Are you? Attorneys don't always have to care about facts or the truth. And plausibility, attorneys don't always care about facts or the truth. Just plausible, credible alternatives to what really happened before the crime was committed. If they're ever put in a defensive position, and I gotta stop because I'm out of time, but I'll be back and wrap this up.